Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the changes to Guzzlord in the Season 20 balance patch that allow it to play in a very different playstyle than it previously did. That, of course, is the change to Brutal Swing. Brutal Swing became cheaper. It's now a 35 energy move, but does more damage than the existing move on Guzzlord, Dragon Claw. This makes Dragon Claw redundant, so Guzzlord is now running Brutal Swing and Sludge Bomb, allowing it more flexibility against fairy types like Azumarill. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and I'm going to test out the updated Guzzlord in the Open Great League. Hopping into the first match, leading Talonflame into Dunsparce, a terrible lead. I'm going to save switch into Furret, and my opponent is going to stay in this matchup. Right off the bat, if you try this team, do not use Furret. I had high hopes for Furret, but I had forgotten that Dig was seriously nerfed. Furret, unfortunately, is pretty bad, so even though I did end up going very positive with this team, the team's going to work a lot better if you run a good normal type like Licky Licky. I'm going to fire off Brick Break after Brick Break, continuing to debuff this Superior. Superior is going to go for the Aerial Ace. Switch timer's up, so I go back into the Talonflame. Talonflame up energy can do well versus Dunsparce. Aerial Ace is going to connect. Switch clock is up. In comes the Dunsparce. I make it to the Flame Charge, and my opponent is going to get a rollout through as I fire off the move. This is still not going to allow them to farm down, as I could have made a fly, so they're forced to fire off energy. So I'm not going to be able to get that charge attack off, but I can now bring in Guzzlord. Guzzlord going to be able to absorb energy from the Dunsparce just fine. Dunsparce will be able to make it to another drill run, but I'm very okay with just shielding and farming all the way down. Because Guzzlord energy is a lot more flexible than it was in previous seasons, and in the back is a Venusaur as they're running a double grass strategy. Sludge Bomb will connect, dealing substantial damage. Sludge Bomb is now actually the move you want to go for when you're looking to do the most neutral damage. So landing the Sludge Bomb is going to allow Guzzlord to farm all the way down, exiting with so much energy. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. We move to the next match, Talonflame versus Talonflame. We have identical combat power, and my rank 2 Talonflame, I think for the first time ever in a Talonflame mirror, actually wins charge attack priority. I went for the Flame Charge, they shield it, which is great for me, they go for the Fly, and I'm going to fire off a Fly on charge attack priority, but this time I lose it, and then I realize they have my identical Talonflame. So the first move that was thrown was actually a coin flip CMP that I was able to win. They throw 3 Incinerates, so this could be a Brave Bird. I am going to respect it. It is the Brave Bird and get the farm down with Guzzlord. In comes Chestnut, and this is a situation where Sludge Bomb is going to be nice, as Sludge Bomb is going to rock that Chestnut. Chestnut barely able to hang on and make it to a superpower, but if they're bringing Chestnut into a loaded Guzzlord, they have to be weak in the back, and it's a double grass team. I saw a lot of grass teams today, and Guzzlord was very appreciative of that fact. I'm going to farm up a bunch of energy, switch into the Furret to absorb the Earthquake, and this game is pretty easily over, as now my opponent is just in a position where they're unable to win. They're not going to be able to overfarm enough to be able to take this game, as they need to Frenzy Plant the Furret and be able to reach an Earthquake versus the Guzzlord, and that's just never happening. So they will fire off the Frenzy, knocking out the Furret, but Guzzlord has the Brutal Swing loaded, and that's going to be good night for the Meganium. Down goes Meganium. There's still Chestnut left in the back, but Chestnut is just getting farmed down. Unfortunately for me, Talonflame sees a terrible lead in the next match as I lead into Feraligatr. I'm going to save switch into Furret, and they're going to stay in and unleash a Hydro Cannon. This will not knock out, but it will deal substantial damage to the Furret. In comes Diggersby, and the nice thing here is I can hit for super effective damage with Brick Break. Brick Break, of course, will debuff as well. My opponent chooses to overfarm quite a bit, and I'm able to make Brick Break number 2. Since they're debuffed, this will do more damage than it typically would. Opponent ends up shielding and throwing their energy, so now I can set up a nasty farm down with the Talonflame. Lots of Diggersbys are on Hyper Beam, so I will have to be mindful, because a Hyper Beam would knock Talonflame out of the sky. So I will respect it, and there's the Hyper Beam. That's a very important shield. Talonflame exiting with 100 energy. They can't bring in the Feraligatr, because a Fly would do too much damage. They're forced to bring in Clodsire. I'm going to go for the fly at first because I was just going to blind fly whatever they brought in. And now I'm going to go for a flame charge into a fly versus the Clodsire. They switch out into Feraligatr, but they're going to have to give up that final shield. Energy on Talonflame is so good. And now at a shield advantage, Guzzlord in a terrific spot to close out this game. I'm going to commit the shield. Opponent full sends the Ice Beam, and that's game over as Guzzlord is going to get a full farm down. In comes the Clodsire. But Clodsire just doesn't have the damage output needed to win this game. Guzzlord can still survive an Earthquake from this range, and thanks to that increased pacing on Brutal Swing, Straight 4 is so nice, able to pick up the knockout onto the Claude and take the win. We move to the next match, picking up a pretty negative lead Talonflame versus Claude. Most Claudes are running Stone Edge, so I'm going to farm up 2 Incinerates, save the energy, and go for it. Them throwing energy here is great, because I pretty quickly realized that Furret is useless in a lot of situations, so just using it to absorb energy is a pretty good use for the Furret. Again, if you want to try out the Talonflame Guzzlord core, just run Licky Licky. I would run Rollout, Body Slam, and Earthquake as your nuke move to have super effective coverage into stuff like Clodsire and Carbink. Here, unfortunately, I do not make the Brick Break and I get farmed down. In comes Talonflame. I'm going to go for the Flame Charge here. I was hoping that if I Flame Charged, I could farm down, but as it turns out, I'm not going to be able to farm down. So, realistically, I should have just gone for the Fly then if I was going to throw twice. Unfortunately, yeah, I'm not getting that farm down. The next Incinerate would not KO and then be able to make a move, so I'll just go for the fly and pick up the knockout. In comes Feraligatr. I'm going to bank a little bit of energy and bring in Guzzlord. And here, unfortunately, I'm going to make a massive mistake. I was a bit distracted during this battle, not paying the greatest of attention. So when I saw Feraligatr throwing a move, I was thinking surely they're throwing it because they have the Ice Beam. Watching it back, that was just a Hydro Cannon. They were just trying to chip me into Earthquake range. So that's never a move that I should have shielded. So it's a pretty massive error on my part. I am going to be able to still tank an Earthquake, however, and fire off the Brutal Swing, and then look to switch into the Talonflame. So I'm going to farm up, switch into the Talonflame, and this is huge. If I'm able to make double fly, I can win this game. In comes Feraligatr, but I realize I'm actually now on a 3 cycle. Because I flame charged earlier, I lose the game. If I had gone fly earlier, I could have made a second fly there and won, but since flame charge is incrementally more expensive, that early game decision, plus shielding a Hydro Cannon for absolutely no reason, unfortunately lose me that game. We move to the next match, picking up an okay lead Talon, going up against the Drifblim. They save switch Licky Licky, and I respond with the Furret. Furret going to start spamming out these Brick Breaks. Even though they're super effective, they still do not do a lot to the Licky Licky. Licky Licky is going to fire off the Body Slam. That will connect. Furret going for the Brick Break. They're already debuffed, so Brick Break might actually do competent damage for the first time, and it gets a shield. That's actually great. I'm more than happy to let this go. I don't need switch advantage. I, of course, have Guzzlord. Guzzlord's going to do amazing versus Drifblim, and I'm going to get a full farm down. Opponent sends Drifblim into Guzzlord. They've got to be so weak if that's the case. I fire off the Brutal Swing. That connects, dealing very nice damage. They're going to be able to hit back with super effective Icy Wind damage. I am going to commit the shield, and they're probably going to switch out. In the back, they have Dunsparce. Dunsparce firing off the Rock Slide, and here is a rare moment where throwing on alignment is the correct play. And let me explain why. They are 3 away, well, 2 after they sneak. If I throw on alignment, the Incinerate that I get through will be boosted, so I'm able to deal incrementally more damage. Where, if I threw on good timing, I'm still only getting 1 Incinerate worth of damage, but it wouldn't be a boosted Incinerate. So it's an extremely rare situation where throwing on alignment is actually the correct play. I still just have this game won because the drill run doesn't KO, and I just have to wait the turn, watch for the animation to start, and when it does, I can just click Brutal Swing because Drifblim is not getting to a move. The Dragon Tails are just going to do too much. In comes Drifblim, Guzzlord farms down, and we're able to take the win. Hopping into the next match, Talonflame versus Malamar. Malamar, a very scary Pokemon up energy. Malamar spamming out these Psy Waves. Poor timing there from the opponent. They throw the foul play as soon as they get it. They could have done 2 extra Psy Waves. I'm going to be firing off the Flame Charge. Let's start ramping up this damage. The Flame Charge will connect. Opponent is going to switch out into Diggersby, and I will fire off the Fly. Boosted Fly will do a lot of damage. Diggersby will protect itself with a shield. It looks like I'm actually going to get farmed down. I thought that I could make another Fly, but I was mistaken. In that case, I should have just switched after the fly was shielded, because giving the Diggersby extra farm is really not great. I'm going to fire off the Brick Break. Brick Break is going to inflict a little bit of damage on a Diggersby, but again, man, Furret was just so disappointing. It is Sucker Punch. I was like, surely it has to be good, but Furret, I guess, proves that even if you have Sucker Punch, you can still be a bad Pokemon. Brick Break is going to be able to pick up the knockout onto the switched in Malamar. Opponent is going to be switch locked for a while. What is that final Pokemon going to be? That is not what I needed to see to win the game. It's going to be a Walrein, and this game is probably just over. Walrein, of course, very nice pacing, spamming out these Icicle Spears. Guzzlord can do a lot, but it's not going to do great against the Walrein. Here, what I should have done, I think, was go for a Hail Mary Sludge Bomb, because a Hail Mary Sludge Bomb may have allowed me to farm down, because it does more overall damage, but unfortunately, they're able to make the move there. They switch into the Diggersby, and I have to try and go for a catch. I'm going to wait 2 turns and then switch into the Talonflame, but they do not fall for it, which means I'm just getting KO'd here. Did what I could in this game, but unfortunately a couple misplays and an unfortunate backline Walrein means game over for me. This is game over, instantly. Talonflame into Superior. My team is so strong into Superior that it's really not going to matter what else they have on the team. They save switch into a Shadow Drapion. Drapion can spam out Aqua Tails, but Aqua Tail will not KO. Here, I go for a Fly. Realistically, I probably should have just gone for the Flame Charge and tried to boost through them with the Incinerate damage if I was planning on staying in, but I'll be honest, it's been a bit since I played Talonflame, and I definitely don't feel that I played it very well. I'm going to go for the Flame Charge now, just looking to boost up whatever damage I can get. They end up letting it through, so I'm able to win switch. Out comes Clodsire. Clodsire looking for the farm down, but Talonflame tanking it on 1 HP, making the fly, and dealing monster damage. Clodsire gets the farm down, but now I can bring in for it. Out comes Superior, in comes Guzzlord, and Guzzlord, again, going to do very, very well in this matchup normally, but now with the Sludge Bomb, it's doing even better. Can fire off the Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb going to hit for big damage onto Superior. Superior is going to let that through. They actually get the damage registration error there. They're able to make the last second charge attack. Aerial Ace, not going to cut it. In comes the Claude. And from here, Furret can just close out this game for me. A rare time when Furret actually did something productive. Furret is going to go for the Brick Break. It's resisted, but let's get that debuff, shall we? And now they're debuffed, and they're just getting Sucker Punched all the way down. Furret does have nice bulk to it, so Earthquake, not going to be a problem. They go for a Stone Edge. That's not going to be an issue either, and I'm able to take the win. We move to the next match, Talonflame versus Oranguru. Oranguru, okay matchup for Talonflame. Opponent is going to switch out into Dunsparce, and I respond with Guzzlord. The reason why I respond with Guzzlord is I think the opponent is actually running a team that I featured that has Carbink in the back. And you may notice this team has a pretty significant Carbink weakness. And that's where having something like Licky Licky that is Earthquake could do quite a bit better. My opponent is going to end up committing the shield. They go for the Drill Run. The good news here is I'm going to be able to make the Brutal Swing. I fire off the Brutal Swing, and here what I should have done was Sludge Bombed, because Sludge Bomb would have actually KO'd, and I would have won switch instead of a simultaneous KO. And now it's a guessing game. I'm going to bring in the Furret. Furret is aligned to Oranguru. Sucker Punch is hitting for super effective damage, but my issue here is now what's probably a Carbink in the back is going to be aligned onto Talonflame. I'm going for the dig. Surely this will knock out. This Oranguru is not very healthy. It lives the dig. Dig is actually so underwhelming. I'm going to fire off a dig, but Carbink at this point knows as long as they shield 1 dig, they're in a really good spot, so they will commit the shield. Furret's going to be able to make a dig, and I believe it was this match right here that maybe just give up on Furret. Look at this dig damage right here. I go for the dig. That is just pathetic. Furret, please. Unfortunately, we do lose that game. Hopping into the final match, Talonflame versus Shadow Golurk. What a cool lead from the opponent. They're staying in, so they are core broken by this Talonflame. I will respect the Shadow Punch as Golurk has a monster attack stat. For Golurk, I'm very excited to try it out in the Halloween Cup. I go for the Fly. Fly is going to be shielded. And now I'm actually going to go for a double shield farm down. A Shadow Punch will do a lot of damage. And if they're staying in, they're clearly core broken by the Talonflame. So I'm going to want to stay in. In comes Licky Licky. I'm going to go for a Fly and then look to bail out of here and send in Furret. In comes Furret the Fly, dealing some nice damage. In the back is Ferrothorn, and now we know why they couldn't switch out. Opponent, unfortunately, ABA weak to Talonflame, and they don't know it yet, but this game is over. Furret, basically just a very valuable damage sponge, was able to bait out the Ferrothorn, and now Guzzlord is going to comfortably be able to sweep in the endgame. Furret spamming out Brick Break after Brick Break at this Ferrothorn. Brick Break will connect, getting them very low. Opponent gets that damage registration error. They're able to make the last second power whip that is able to pick up the knockout. I bring in Talon. They do a nice play there. For a second there, I forgot about the 50-second switch timer. In 60-second switch timer, I could have got the farm down, but they do a nice snipe, but it's not going to matter. Guzzlord is just going to farm all the way down. They can fire off Body Slam after Body Slam. Licky Licky is very, very spammy, but they just don't have enough residual energy to win the game, as they would need to make it to a third Body Slam, and Guzzlord, courtesy of quite a few Dragon Tails, will not let that happen, farming down Licky Licky and the Ferrothorn to take the win. All in all, I really liked Guzzlord. Guzzlord was a Pokemon that I really enjoyed running in previous seasons as well, running the Dragon Tail, Dragon Claw, and then Brutal Swing or Crunch. It definitely plays a lot differently now. The fact that you actually have a coverage move against Fairy types means that if you have like 100 Guzzlord energy and their final Pokemon is a Azumarill, you can actually hit back against it. Sludge Bomb is not really going to help against Charmers, because since you're a Dark Dragon, you just get deleted by Charm anyway, like 4 Charms and your Guzzlord is dead. But against something like an Azumarill, you can actually inflict some valuable damage. And on top of that, Guzzlord being a Pokemon that has play into all 3 of Mandibuzz, Clodsire, and Feraligatr means that I think Guzzlord is a very valuable Pokemon to have on the team. A smart person named Inadequance was mentioning on his stream that a Pokemon to be valuable in this meta has to try and target at least 2 of that big trio of Pokemon there. The Mandibuzz, the Clodsire, and the Feraligatr. Because that's kind of the best core trio in this meta. So if you have a Pokemon that's not beating any of those, in my view, it's just not a really good Pokemon. It's just not. So the fact that it is play into all 3, I think Guzzlord stocks are way up this season, and the fact that it now can run a more flexible moveset is a massive plus. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.